This is Depth of Field. In this episode, I will be explaining and giving you a visual understanding of what depth of field means. Hi and welcome to this training. My name is Trevor Hughes. In this session of Better Photography with Trevor, I will show you how depth of field is used in film and photography. We will cover the following areas to give you an in-depth understanding of depth of field. What depth of field is, how to use depth of field so the viewer sees what you want them to focus on, how to measure your lens, what's the difference between shallow and deep depth of field, how you create depth of field with the aperture, how you create depth of field by moving your feet, creating depth of field in auto settings and what problems you will encounter by doing so. The camera I'm using in this training is a Nikon D600. This training video is part of a series of videos in the course Better Photography with Trevor. Let's get started. Depth of field will draw the viewer's attention to the most important part of the film or photo. First, we need to know what depth of field is. Depth of field is the amount of distance between the nearest and furthest object that appears in acceptable sharp focus. I will shortly show you examples of how it is used in film and photography. I would like to show you this diagram where the apple is in sharp focus. Now let's add two lines, and between these two lines is the area that we call depth of field. Either side of these lines, the shot will be out of focus. It is important knowing how much depth of field you have with a certain lens as a cameraman or photographer. You will be able to tell the actor how much room they have for movement before going out of focus. In photography, you are not dealing with actors' movements, but say if you're taking portraits where it is important to get the depth of the head, and one of the most important parts is the eyes in focus all at the same time, then it's important to know the depth of field of that lens. Otherwise, you can throw that photo away. Here in this photo, I have taken a very uninteresting photo of a number. Very boring. But in the next two shots, I have moved my feet. You remember I talked about moving your feet in my first course on the rules of thirds in the series Better Photography with Trevor. Now, I have a more interesting shot. I'm getting the right distance between the focal plane on my camera and the number I want you to focus on automatically. Did you not automatically focus on the number 8 and then the number 2? I think you did. I'm going to explain in more detail how you set up your camera for depth of field after this film clip from a film I produced a few years ago. Notice how we use the depth of field to focus on the character talking, and everything in front and behind is out of focus. Please enjoy.
Oh, hey, new neighbour. Welcome. How's it all going?
Yeah, great, thanks.
It's easy for her to say.
I hear it's a really nice space. I'd love to come by and see it sometime.
Well, you're more than welcome anytime.
Well, good luck. Yeah, have a good day. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Trust us to get neighbours like her.
Understanding how we create depth of field. First, we need to find the focal plane marked on your camera. It looks like this. This is the mark you're looking for, and it is often situated on the top towards the back edge of the camera. So what is it? Well, it's the position of a flat surface inside the camera onto which light is focused on, after passing through the lens and the camera housing. It has many names, and I will call it the image sensor, as we are dealing with a DSLR camera. After the light has hit the image sensor, the image is recorded and you will have your photo. It is from the image sensor that your camera measures the focus distance, which is printed on the lens, often in feet and meters. In my example here with these apples, you will see that I have laid a ruler to the side, starting from the focal plane mark on my camera. I have placed the apples out at 30, 50 and 70 centimeters from my focal plane, Now I'm going to pull focus to the matching distance markers on my lens. As I do this, you will see how the focus changes. Looks like the markers on the lens all match up with the ruler, giving me sharp focus at every distance. But notice how the apples, which are not at the distance, are out of focus. Remember the diagram? Oh, pull focus. It's not pulling the lens off the camera. It means that you are rotating from one distance marker on the lens to another. Yes, you can achieve the depth of field in auto setting, but first set your camera to manual focus. Now, the only drawback is that the camera will control your aperture, often giving you a higher f-stop than you wished for. This will cause a problem, as it will increase the size of the area which is in focus. That's fine, just as long as you know that. We can see here when I focus on the apple at 100 centimeters, even the apple at 80 centimeters is slightly in focus. So a higher f-stop will give more depth of field. Now the fun begins. Depth of field will change depending on many factors, like what lens you are using, but more often than not is the distance you are from your subject and the distance the subject is from the background. You can also change the depth of field by going to a higher or lower aperture setting. Example, f2 to f9, f9 to f2. That's a wrap on understanding what depth of field is and how you can change it. What was it again? It's the amount of distance between the nearest and furthest object that appears in acceptable sharp focus in a photo or a film clip. Thank you for watching. My name is Trevor Hughes.